Welcome back to the Power Playbook. Today, we're diving into a law that's all about stealing the spotlight, commanding the stage, and making yourself impossible to ignore. It's Law 6 from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, court attention at all costs. In a world where everyone's fighting to be seen, whether it's on social media, in a boardroom, or even in your own social circle, this law is your secret weapon to rise above the noise. We're going to unpack why attention is the lifeblood of power, explore a wild historical story about P.T. Barnum straight from the pages of the book, and see how this law plays out in today's digital age with a modern influencer who turned mystery into millions. By the end of this deep dive, you'll have the tools to grab the world's attention and hold it tight, whether you're building a career, a brand, or a legacy. So step right up, grab a seat in the front row, and let's get started on this journey to master the art of spectacle. Let's break down what it means to court attention at all costs. This law isn't about being shy or blending into the background. It's about standing out in a way that makes people stop, stare, and talk about you. Robert Greene, the mastermind behind the 48 Laws of Power, is telling us that in the game of influence, attention is everything. If no one knows who you are, if no one's paying attention to you, then you have no power, no leverage, and no influence. Obscurity is the enemy of power, and Law 6 is your battle plan to defeat it. Think about the world we live in today. Every day, you're bombarded with information. Ads, social media posts, news headlines, all competing for your focus. It's a noisy, crowded place, and if you want to make an impact, you can't afford to be just another face in the crowd. Greene's argument is simple but profound. To wield power, you need to be seen, heard, and remembered. Whether you're an entrepreneur launching a startup, an artist trying to get your work noticed, or even a student pitching an idea in class, attention is the first step to success. Without it, even the best ideas, the most brilliant talents, can wither away in the shadows. But how do you court attention? Greene gives us a few key principles. First, you need to be bold. You can't be timid or play it safe. Power comes from doing things that make people take notice. That might mean taking risks, breaking conventions, or doing something unexpected. Second, you need to be strategic. Attention for the sake of attention can backfire if it's not directed toward your goals. You want to be seen as larger than life, but in a way that enhances your influence, not diminishes it. And third, mystery is your friend. People are drawn to the unknown. They're curious about things they can't quite figure out. By leaving a little to the imagination, you keep them hooked, always wanting more. Let's hear it directly from Robert Greene himself to really drive this home. In the 48 Laws of Power, he writes, "Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd then, or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all cost. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses." That's the law, straight from the book, and it's a powerful reminder. Greene is telling us that appearances matter, sometimes more than reality itself. If you want to wield power, you can't afford to be invisible. You need to be the one who stands out, who draws the crowd, who makes people curious. And as we'll see in our first example, no one understood this better than P.T. Barnum, the king of spectacle. Now, let's take a step back in time to the 19th century, where we'll meet a man who practically invented the art of courting attention. T. Barnum, America's premier showman. This story comes straight from the 48 Laws of Power, listed as the observance of the law for Law 6, and it's a perfect example of how to use spectacle to gain power. P.T. Barnum started his career as a young assistant to Aaron Turner, the owner of a traveling circus. This was in the early 1830s, a time when circuses were one of the biggest forms of entertainment in America, but they were also fiercely competitive. Turner was a seasoned showman, always looking for ways to draw a crowd, and he saw potential in Barnum, who was eager to learn the tricks of the trade. One day, Turner decided to teach Barnum a lesson in attention that he'd never forget. The circus was set to perform in a small town, but ticket sales were sluggish. Turner knew they needed a gimmick to get people talking. So he came up with a daring plan. He told Barnum to dress in a formal black suit, the kind a reverend might wear, and walk through the town square just before the show. Barnum, trusting his boss, followed instructions, unaware that Turner had already spread a wild rumor through the town. Turner had told locals that the man in the black suit was a notorious reverend who had recently been acquitted of murder, a scandalous figure who'd been all over the newspapers. Of course, this was completely made up. But the townspeople didn't know that. As Barnum strolled through the square, people started to notice him. Whispers turned into shouts. "That's him! That's the Reverend!" Soon, a mob formed, fueled by outrage and curiosity. They surrounded Barnum, yelling insults and even throwing stones, convinced he was the infamous criminal. Barnum, caught off guard, feared for his safety, but he was quick on his feet. He shouted back, "I'm not who you think I am. Follow me to the circus and I'll prove it." The mob, eager to see what would happen, trailed him all the way to the circus tent, growing larger with every step. When they arrived, Aaron Turner was waiting with a sly grin. He stepped into the ring, welcomed the massive crowd, and revealed the truth. It was all a publicity stunt. Barnum wasn't a reverend, let alone a murderer. He was just an assistant in the circus. The crowd, initially stunned, burst into laughter and applause, amazed by the clever trick. That night, the circus was packed to the brim, with every seat filled and people standing in the aisles, all because of the spectacle Turner had created. Barnum later wrote in his autobiography that this was one of the most important lessons of his career. Attention, even if sparked by controversy, could fill seats and make you a household name. This experience shaped Barnum's entire approach to showmanship. He realized that people crave excitement, mystery, and even a bit of scandal. They'll flock to anything that breaks the monotony of their daily lives. Barnum took this lesson and ran with it, using similar tactics throughout his career to build his empire. For example, he once hired a man to walk the streets of New York, randomly placing bricks in specific spots and picking them up again, without explanation. Crowds gathered, puzzled, trying to figure out what he was doing. Eventually, they followed him straight to Barnum's American Museum, where they paid to get in just to satisfy their curiosity. Another time, Barnum promoted a performer by spreading rumors that she was a fraud, knowing people would come to see for themselves, only to be amazed by her talent. Greene uses Barnum's story to illustrate Law 6 perfectly. Barnum understood that in the world of power, obscurity is the enemy. By creating spectacles, whether through stunts, rumors, or outright deception, he made himself a magnet for attention. And that attention translated into influence, fame, and wealth. But what's fascinating is that Barnum didn't care if the attention was positive or negative. When people criticized him for his tricks, calling him a humbug, he leaned into it, even naming one of his exhibits, "The Great American Humbug." He knew that as long as people were talking about him, he was winning. This story also shows the flip side of Law 6. You have to manage the attention you court. Barnum was a master at turning controversy into curiosity, but if he'd let the negativity spiral out of control, it could have ruined him. The lesson here is to be strategic. Grab attention, yes, but steer it toward your goals. Barnum's legacy as the greatest showman in history proves that when you master this law, the world becomes your stage. Now let's fast forward to the present day and see how Law 6 plays out in the digital age. This story is about Mia, a graphic designer turned social media influencer who used the power of mystery to go from obscurity to viral sensation. Her journey shows how you can court attention in today's world of algorithms, hashtags, and endless content. Mia started her career as a freelance graphic designer in 2021, creating beautiful artwork for small businesses. She had a modest Instagram following, about 2,000 followers, but she dreamed of turning her passion into a full-time career. The problem? Instagram was a crowded space, with millions of creators vying for attention. Mia's posts, while stunning, weren't getting the traction she needed. She'd spend hours crafting intricate designs, but they'd barely get a few hundred likes, buried under a flood of other content. She knew she had to do something different if she wanted to break through. One day, while researching marketing strategies, Mia came across the story of P.T. Barnum. Yes, the same Barnum we just talked about. She was fascinated by how he used spectacle and mystery to draw crowds, and she wondered if she could apply the same principles to her own work. She decided to take a risk and create a campaign that would make people stop scrolling and pay attention. Mia's plan was simple but bold. She'd launch a cryptic teaser campaign for her next project. Instead of posting her usual polished designs, she created a series of Instagram stories and posts that were dark, abstract, and mysterious. She used shadowy images of her artwork, close-ups of textures, blurred outlines of figures, and cryptic symbols like eyes or broken clocks. She paired these visuals with vague captions like, "Something's coming. Are you ready?" Or, "The reveal is closer than you think." She didn't explain what she was teasing, and she turned off comments on her posts to keep the mystery intact. For 2 weeks, Mia posted these teasers every day, each one more intriguing than the last. She'd show a snippet of a design, then cut away, leaving her followers wanting more. She also collaborated with a few micro-influencers in the design space, asking them to share her cryptic posts without revealing the full story. This created a ripple effect. Her followers started sharing the teasers, speculating wildly in their own stories and group chats. Was Mia launching a new brand? Was she collaborating with a celebrity? Was this some kind of art installation? The buzz grew with every post, and her follower count began to climb, first by hundreds, then by thousands. Mia didn't stop there. She leaned into the mystery by hosting a live Q&A session. But instead of answering questions directly, she dropped more hints, saying things like, "All will be revealed on the 15th, or "This project will change how you see my work." She even created a countdown timer on her profile, building anticipation. By the time the 15th rolled around, Mia's account had gained 10,000 new followers, and her stories were being viewed by tens of thousands of people daily. The internet was buzzing with theories about her project. The big reveal was a live-streamed event where Mia unveiled her new collection, a series of limited edition prints inspired by her cryptic teasers. The prints were dark, bold, and hauntingly beautiful, tying into the mysterious vibe she'd created. During the live stream, she walked her audience through the inspiration behind each piece, sharing the story of how Barnum's tactics inspired her campaign. The event peaked at 15,000 viewers, a massive number for a small creator, and her prints sold out in just 2 hours. She made over $20,000 in sales that day, enough to quit her freelance gigs and focus on her art full-time. But Mia's success didn't end there. Her campaign caught the attention of design blogs, fashion magazines, and even a few art galleries. They dubbed her the mysterious new talent and praised her for her innovative marketing. Brands started reaching out for collaborations, and her follower count skyrocketed to 50,000 within a month. Mia had done what so many creators struggle to do. She broke through the noise and made herself a name, all by courting attention with mystery and spectacle. Let's break down why this worked. Mia understood that in the digital age, attention is the first step to success. By creating a cryptic campaign, she tapped into people's natural curiosity. They wanted to solve the puzzle she'd created. Her teasers weren't just random. They were carefully designed to hint at something big, keeping her audience engaged without giving away the full picture. And by collaborating with others and using tools like live streams and countdowns, she amplified her reach, ensuring the attention snowballed. Mia's story also shows the balance Greene talks about. She courted attention, but she directed it toward her goal, selling her prints and building her brand. If she'd teased for too long without delivering, her audience might have lost interest or felt cheated. But by timing her reveal perfectly and delivering something worth the hype, she turned curiosity into loyalty. This is Law 6 in action. Make yourself a magnet for attention, and then use that attention to build your power. Think about your own life for a moment. Have you ever seen someone use mystery or boldness to stand out? Maybe a coworker who teased a big project without revealing details, or a friend who always seems to have an air of intrigue about them. Or maybe you've done it yourself. Dropped a hint about something exciting to get people interested. Law 6 teaches us that attention isn't just handed to you. You have to court it, shape it, and make it work for you. Before we wrap up this deep dive, let's take a moment to talk about the Power Playbook. We're here to unpack books like the 48 Laws of Power, giving you the strategies and insights you need to navigate life's challenges with confidence and smarts. We've been on this journey through the 48 laws, breaking down each one with historical lessons and modern applications, and I'm so glad you're along for the ride. If this video gave you a new perspective on how to stand out, I'd love for you to hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people like you. And if you haven't already, subscribe and tap the bell icon so you don't miss a single episode. We're building a community of strategic thinkers, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Let's bring it all together. Law 6, court attention at all costs, is about recognizing that attention is the foundation of power. Whether it's P.T. Barnum turning a mob into a circus audience with a clever stunt, or Mia building a viral following with a mysterious campaign, this law shows that you can't afford to be invisible. In a world where everyone's fighting to be noticed, you need to be the one who stands out through boldness, mystery, or spectacle. But it's not just about being seen. It's about being remembered, being talked about, and using that attention to build your influence. I want to hear from you now, because your stories always make these videos even better. Have you ever used a bold move to grab attention, like Mia did? Or have you seen someone else do it, a celebrity, a friend, a colleague, who made themselves unforgettable? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love seeing how you're applying these laws in your own life. Your experiences could even inspire our next video, so don't hold back. And before you go, let's get you excited for what's coming next.